Today we're checking out another ergonomic chair from Singapore. This time it's the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe, which is also $600+, and because it's also from a local brand and also an ergonomic mesh office style chair, it's going to inevitably be compared a lot to this ERGOTUNE chair which I'm currently sitting on. So while this chair has become my daily driver in my studio office setup, that chair has become my daily driver in my room and kind of my own room setup. And here's what I think after some extensive usage. Let's start off with the design. I think this Takeaseat Sail Deluxe looks pretty nice. I think it's quite clean looking. It doesn't have fancy logos or anything. It looks like a proper office chair and will not be out of place in any office or work from home setup, which is good. Very, very nice. And it looks good in like a working professional setup. And if you have it in your gaming setup, personally, I think it will look fine as well. Because this is the deluxe model, it has the aluminum backing and aluminum frame, which looks a bit chromed out and might be a little bit shiny and bling for some people. But I don't think it's a massive deal. I think it still looks really, really nice. Since we're on the topic on aluminum and all this deluxe thingies, let's talk about the difference between the deluxe and the basic model, and let's talk about its build quality. Now, the deluxe model is slightly wider than the basic model. This means it's better for bigger sized people, bodybuilders, basically Chris Bumstead, you know who that is, and basically allows you to fit wider shoulders in it. This might not be a big deal for some people, and for some people they'll probably do better to save the money and get the basic model because they might not be as big size, especially since we're in Singapore. But for the right people, the deluxe might make sense, although it is $200 more than the basic model, which is only about $400. The basic is also slightly poorer in terms of build quality because it does not have the aluminum backing that the deluxe model has. The adjustments, the adjustability, and the ergonomic kind of concepts and philosophies and layout is generally the same, although the control layouts are slightly laid out slightly differently. So yeah, that's the difference between the deluxe and the basic. And since we're on the topic of like materials, aluminum backing, let's talk about build quality of this chair. And that's where we start with the comparisons to the ERGOTUNE chair, which it inevitably will be compared to. Admittedly, the ERGOTUNE chair's build quality is not that good, and this is not a very high bar to beat. And as a result, the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe definitely beats it. The ERGOTUNE does have a bit of a plasticky nature in certain aspects, and some of the things are ratchety, a bit loose. The Sail Deluxe does not have any of these issues. The aluminum backing is premium feeling, the whole chair feels very sturdy, and all the kind of locks and adjustability feels very secure and tight and a good solid fit, which is a good thing to see, a very good thing to feel, which is appreciated because you're paying $600 for a chair. You want it to feel as premium as it possibly can be. The materials in general are quite nice as well. The mesh material is quite well built, so everything is kind of going well assembled. The materials are like pretty premium. Most of the materials that you touch are going to be pretty premium. The only bits of plastic on this chair are bits that you won't really be touching all that often, so it's not a massive deal. But since we're on a topic of materials, let's talk about how these materials are when it comes to the context of comfort. And this is where actually the ERGOTUNE wins out by a little bit. Now, the Sail Deluxe does not have an uncomfortable material choice by any means. But compared to the ERGOTUNE's more fabric cloth-like mesh material, the Takeaseat's Sail Deluxe has this nylon plastic mesh material. It does feel a little bit cheaper, but my main problem is if you're going to be using this at home and you're planning to, work from home without a shirt on, which is a very common thing. On raw, bare skin, this material does get a little bit sticky and get a little bit weird when it comes to like how it feels compared to this soft cloth fabric material that the ERGOTUNE has. Now, this is not going to be a big deal because the moment you put on a shirt and you put on a t-shirt or basically wear any sort of clothes, it's not going to be a big deal because you won't be able to feel the material on your chair. So if you're going to be using your Sail Deluxe in an office, if you're going to be using the Sail Deluxe with clothes on, it's not going to be a big killer feature. But if you're planning to work from home all the time without a shirt on, it might be a concern, so I'm just pointing it out for like the 15% of viewers who might be concerned about something like that. The armrest, however, is very similar on both chairs. They're both soft, cushion padded, and reasonably comfortable, and the Sail Deluxe's one is perfectly adequate as well. However, on the topic of the armrest, I have to give a point to the ERGOTUNE for having more adjustability in the armrest because, well, it does. The ERGOTUNE allows you to basically pivot it in different angles and also move the armrest inward. And I think this feature is definitely very appreciated. When you use the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe, it does not have the ability to slide inwards and outwards. It only can slide forwards and backwards and up and down. And as a result, the adjustability of this chair and the ergonomics of this chair just is a bit more lacking, especially since the armrest is so wide and far apart. Remember, the Deluxe is like a bigger model, so it's designed for really big size people. But if you are a bit smaller size and have slightly less wide shoulders when you're sitting on the Deluxe, the armrest might be a bit too wide for some people. Now, this is not a crazy killer deal breaker, but it's nice if they added this adjustability in future models, because I think with everyone's shoulder width being very different, it would be appreciated if I could move the armrests inwards or outwards just for a little bit more ergonomics. The neck rest is another point of contention between these two chairs, and I will argue that the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe actually edges out here. Yes, the ERGOTUNE is a lot more adjustable. It does have that height adjust, which is a big important thing for a lot of people, and I really hope that the Sail Deluxe has that in the next generation models. But the Sail does have a much sturdier feeling neck support. Even though it has more axis of adjustability on the ERGOTUNE, it's a bit loose and rattly and doesn't really stick in place properly on the ERGOTUNE, so when you kind of lean really hard back on your neck support, it goes all the way down and resets into its original position to begin with, which is a bit unfortunate. So that additional build quality on the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe's neck support is appreciated because it allows the adjustment that I set and the little tweaks that I put to stay in place and not constantly reset with a little bit too much force applied to it, which is nice. But the lack of height adjust does hurt it a little bit. In terms of lumbar and back support, both of these chairs are pretty much neck and neck. Both provide excellent lumbar support, although I would argue that the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe and the ERGOTUNE's different approaches to lumbar support might be a very subjective thing. The Takeaseat Sail Deluxe has a lot more aggressive lumbar support. It sticks out a lot, which isn't a big deal for me, but it might be uncomfortable for some people who are not as used to lumbar support as I am. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but you get the idea. It sticks out a lot more and it supports your lumbar a lot more aggressively than the ERGOTUNE chair, which has a more gentle curve in terms of its lumbar support. Now, this is not necessarily a bad or good thing. It really depends on what you like in terms of your comfort levels, but the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe does have that additional bit of more aggressive lumbar support, which, depending on the person, you might or might not like. What's important though is that this backrest has height adjust. You can move up the entire backrest and you can move down the entire backrest depending on your needs, depending on what exactly you're going for, and depending on your height, of course. Both of this can do it pretty well, although both of them have kind of weird mechanisms that, you constantly pull it up too high and it goes all the way to the top and then you have to reset from the bottom. I think like a button lock or some sort of twist lock would be much better of a system for this height adjust than the system both of these chairs have got going on for height adjust. Another thing, however, about the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe's backrest is that it kind of has a suspension system. When you lean back into it, it kind of flexes back into the frame, meaning it kind of tweaks and adjusts to your posture, your weight, and kind of your ergonomics a little bit more. The ERGOTUNE does not have a feature like this. It's mostly just the soft mesh material flexing to fit your body proportions and your body posture. Now, in terms of the backrest kind of flexibility, if you like leaning back when you're working and stuff like that, you can do it on both chairs. Both chairs have different resistances for how easy it is to lean back, although I leave it at the easiest resistance because I'm always leaning back and being a lazy piece of crap. And you can also lock the backrest so it doesn't flex back at all and you can't lean back at all, which I guess is a good way to force yourself to sit upright and just focus on work, depending on your ergonomic needs. So that's good to see that both of this have that adjustability as well. Now let's talk about where your butt cheeks reside, the bottom seat, and both are pretty good. One thing, however, to note is that the Takeaseat here has this unique design where, just like the backrest, the bottom of the seat is mounted on some sort of suspension system. So when you sit down on it, it flexes into the frame and isn't just supporting you with its mesh material alone. This makes for a notable difference in kind of how it supports you and how it feels. Although I would argue it's not big enough to really say this is more comfortable than the ERGOTUNE. What the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe lacks in terms of mesh material support and comfort, it makes up for plenty with the suspension system. So that's good to see, and it kind of ends up with like both of them are almost equal in terms of comfort. They're both pretty comfortable. It's quite nice to sit on, it's quite nice feeling, and it definitely is supportive, comfortable, and enjoyable of an experience. Now, you can slide in your chair's bottom seat, bottom half, whatever you want to call it, on both chairs easily with a simple lever adjustment. It's spring-loaded, really easy to do. So if you're worried about that adjustment being on either chairs, well, both chairs have it. Now let's talk about the wheels, and let's talk about kind of like the bottom supporting aspect of this chair. In terms of the wheels, Honestly, both are pretty smooth. I like the fact that both chairs have non-scratch wheels that don't scratch any sort of wooden floors or any easy to scratch style of flooring, so that's good to see. And I do like the fact that both of this have very smooth wheels that are very sturdy and built pretty well. So in terms of this aspect, both admittedly are quite equal and frankly, neck and neck. So in conclusion then, what do I think about the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe? Well, I think it's definitely a nice chair. It's comfortable, it's ergonomic, has plenty of adjustments, all the adjustments that you would want, and it is very nice with good ventilation and a good mesh material. It is also plus size, so if you are someone who has wide shoulders or wide waist, depending on your lifestyle choices, it does result in a lot more of a comfortable experience than those tiny ergonomic chairs that are out there on the market to this day. But once again, no man is an island, and the Takeaseat Sail Deluxe has to be taken with perspective that other ergonomic chairs in its price range exist, especially since it costs about $600, which is a very saturated kind of price range when it comes to ergonomic chair. And in that case, well, it does make the Takeaseat a little bit more of a difficult, definite recommendation. It is still a recommendation of something that you should check out. And because Takeaseat has so many showrooms around the country in which you can actually physically sit in the chair and find out whether you like it, which is something that a lot of chairs by startups don't have the luxury of providing. You can go to one of Takeaseat's shops, try it out, and figure out whether you actually like these chairs or not. And I think that's actually a big deal, and that is actually a big thing that helps you make a better decision. As for whether you should consider this chair, I think the answer is absolutely yes. You should keep it on your watch list, this or the basic model depending on your size and budget, and definitely be considering it next time you're buying an ergonomic chair for your office or your work from home setup. It's comfortable and definitely a good product that you want to be considering when you're buying an ergonomic office chair. Whether it's right for you exactly, that is a more subjective thing, and because it's so subjective, I recommend you try it out physically at its showroom before you decide. And with that, I'm going to end this video off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Follow me on Instagram, join my Discord, all those different things. These are the best places to ask me questions, to have any sort of inquiries and things like that. And I'm going to end this video off here, which has been pretty long to make. And with that, goodbye. Adios, 再见.